Needs some minutes, and we kick off here. Him knocking the ball back to Randell, and Argyle will go forward down the left-hand side. I think they're going to go back to their goalkeeper first of all, Mike Cooper. So a few Argyle players just get some time on the ball early on here, and I suppose with the timing of today's game, Rick, is not ideal in the sense that there is a game tomorrow, our first team game away at Salford. So where Ryan Lowe might have used this game as a platform for a few of his players that aren't getting too many minutes to get a run out, he probably won't want anyone, exhausting themselves with the game tomorrow, will he?
Absolutely right. I mean, the game was brought forward from 7 o'clock. It was originally a 7 p.m. kick-off tonight. It was brought forward to this afternoon with that in mind. And Kevin Nanscoville, who's coaching from the sidelines, Reece Wilmot, who's over there, and a few of the players are going to travel up after the game. Dom Telford's one, Adam Randell's another, I believe. And I guess if there are any other needs, they'll be all going up as well. But you're right. You might have thought that the likes of maybe Connor Grant or Joel Grant or people like that who have had limited game time recently would have benefited from the run out. But
yeah, Ryan Taylor as well was one that came to my mind, who's just getting himself back in the first team picture. Probably could do with a bit of sharpening up. The series there, Randell picking the ball up in the middle of midfield, and Argyle move it down the right hand side here to Cleal. And he's going to look in front to see if Telford's making a run. Not quite yet, and Randell will then try and fizz one across to Ryan Law on the left hand side. Doesn't quite reach him, and Everton will try and move their way forward on the right hand side. They've got it through into the front at the moment, just being held up here on the right hand side. It's pushed back. They're going to try and cross it from a deep position, and there's the overlap on, so they can try and cross now from the right hand side. Good covering though by Ryan Law. I think I said this last time I was commentating on him, but I always feel like I'm saying the manager's name in a funny accent when I'm saying Ryan Law. But I'm sure you know what I'm getting at. Everton still have it, just trying to find the right moment to get the ball in, and in the end it's a bit of miscommunication and it goes out for a throw-in on Argyle's left-hand side. Interesting that the teams seem to be lined up fairly similar. Everton have got a sort of 3-2-4-1 sort of formation, but pretty well 3-5-2s, whichever way you want to cut that particular cake, which is interesting because Argyle, of course, at the weekend played Colchester, who didn't play that shape for shape sort of, and it caused us a few problems at Colchester, which I think we ended up dealing with. But there was certainly a difference playing against a side who, in their case, lined up as a sort of 4-2-3-1, as it were. Mike Peck for Argyle moves it inside to Tom Purrington. So big brother Ben on the score sheet again for Charlton at the weekend. Purrington in towards Lolos. It's good interception though by Everson for Everton. And now from the back it'll be Uzanidis trying to bring it forward again. It's Everson once more. He tries to hold it up, doesn't manage it. Ryan Law is brought down. The referee Adrian Quelch gives the decision Argyle's way. Actually, I think you can strike that last comment of mine from the record because there's a fairly obvious back four come into play now. I think the left back or the right back had actually got quite far forward and it didn't look like a back four, but I think it's a back four now. Argyle are going to have a free kick from the left-hand side, fairly deep, but it's going to be swung into the middle. There's a few green shirts gathering on the edge of the box, sent in by Randell. Good header away by Uzanidis for Everton, falls as far as Cleal, and he'll try and recycle. Miller and then Medine around the corner to Cleal again. Will he be able to cross from the right hand side? Everton have got the numbers over here and just about they get the better of Argyle in the end and try and whisk it down the right hand side. There is a chance on here down the right. Everton breaking away. Good covering defending though by Randell, the skipper today, having to do a defending job here as Argyle retreat. In the end that was good work by the Pilgrims. Cross comes in, that should be easy for Michael Cooper to deal with. And he does so. He's another one that falls into that category we were talking about before, Rick, in terms of getting game time. Michael Cooper. Absolutely, he'll be another one that's in the minibus up there or whatever they're using to get up to Salford for tonight after the game. He's done well when he's played in games. It's just one of those. I'll break off because Dom's on the run. Yeah, Argyle trying to break down the right hand side. Ball looking for Telford. It's covered by Branthwaite and cleared away by the goalkeeper for Everton, Tyra, and it goes out for a throw-in on the right-hand side. Something I picked up on in the pre-match was that Kevin Nanscoville, who's ostensibly taking the team today, was being a assisted, I noticed, by Gary Sawyer, who was taking some of the warm-up.
Yes, I don't know if that's just to keep Gary busy and interested and involved, but he is reaching that part of his playing career when he's probably looking at his next role after he finishes playing, and it would be interesting to see if he kept up his connection with us even further than it already is.
Yeah, I can see from Nance is now on his feet and shouting some instructions from the edge of the technical area. You can probably just see him as the ball rolls across, but Gary is sitting on the left-hand side as we look of the Argyle dugout alongside the likes of Reece Wilmot, Tommy Hunter. So Argyle throwing down the left-hand side. Law to Medine. Doesn't quite reach him. It's a bit of a tangle of legs. In the end, the referee decides that's a free kick to Everton. In their rather eye-catching kit for today. They expected the visibility in the Storm to be a little bit worse than it is. Everton play it short. You're always going to see in these sorts of games, I mean, it's a bit of an Argyle philosophy anyway these days to get the ball down, take free kicks short, but certainly Premier League under 21, under 23 sides are going to do the same. So although the wind is howling around, don't expect the ball to spend too much time in the air today. Is Cleo to take a throw in on the right-hand side, right on the halfway line. Short to Randell, and then repeat that dose, and then Argyle eventually move it back to the goalkeeper and switched out. So Michael Peck, the left of three central defenders, into Lolos, gets it back to Peck. Law's made an advanced run on the left-hand side, tries to get it. That ball did hang up on the wind as it was played forward, and then Lolos has tripped the Everton player as they push down the right-hand side. Speaking of dugouts, David Unsworth in charge for Everton today. Again, you can probably just about see him barking out some instructions from the technical area.
He had a great reunion with Neil Dewsnip when we played in the return fixture, or the reverse fixture, I should say, of this game up at Southport earlier on. So obviously they know each other from their Everton days. But Neil Dewsnip probably coached David Unsworth as he was coming through.
Everton took a free kick there, and you could probably see the ball. It's not just oscillating, but moving off of its spot there. The referee's probably going to be sensible enough to just let a few of those moments go today, because it's going to be hard to get through Everton. And there you see another loose pass as Everton's Everson just knocks the ball out of play again. Both teams really trying to settle into this game so far. Lolos goes down, picking up a ball to his feet inside the Argyle half. The linesman gave a throw into Argyle. I think we were looking for either an Everton throw or an Argyle free kick. We'll get a free kick now because Dom Telford has just been shrugged off the ball and brought down inside the Argyle half for another free kick.
It's good to see Dom back on a football field, isn't it? I mean, he's a player of tremendous talent, and whenever he has been involved with the first team, you always feel when he's sniffing around waiting for a chance to happen. He just scored a very good goal before he was injured, and you know, he's a player that can certainly, if he can stay fit for the rest of the season, he can add quite a lot to our promotion push.
Without a doubt, because the variety of different forwards that we have, I mean, we have plenty of them now that Ryan Hardy's been added and Luke Jeffcott's come into the reckoning, but they're still all very different, aren't they? And it might be a game where you need someone like Dom or someone like Tails or whoever it might be. They're all, or Joel Grant, they're all different sort of players after, aren't they? And Dom does offer something a wee bit different from all of the rest.
And certainly the manager was very quick to point out after Saturday's game at Colchester that when Tails did come on at half time, he sort of singled him out for doing a very good job in the second half. So maybe, you know, horses for courses as well comes into it. You're going to play teams in environments when you are going to need, you know, a quick one, a big one, a wide one, whatever, and have that variety, as you say, Rob, is going to be a tremendous boon over the last 16 games.
Well, it's not terribly long ago that we were in a similar position to the one we're in now, and we signed Ryan Taylor in January and got promoted. So it's he can help us out on that front. He certainly knows the game. As the sun comes out, but the rain still continues to fall. Everton trying to play the ball in their own half, but they give it away. Randell picks it up into Lolos, allowed to turn slightly. Randell again will have to go left to Law. It's on his own. Has to cut inside. Everton had enough bodies back there. Argyle were outnumbered, and the Toffees try and bring it away down the right-hand side. And that's cool play that allows it to come inside to Uzanides. And he spreads the play, headed forward by Folds and picked up by Adeniran. And on the line by Branthwaite. Good football by Everton. Ellis. It's Ellis Sims, I should say, turns inside. I'm going to end up calling him Ellis because he looks like do you remember the big lad up front, Ellis, who used to play for Blackpool? I can't remember his first name, but he reminds me of him somewhat. is Argyle picking it up there. Tomlinson on the ball in towards Telford. Surely was pushed in the back there. Nothing given, but Argyle retained the ball. And we'll go down the channel looking for Medine. It's a difficult one for him to pick up, bouncing around. And in the end, a slight coming together. And who's in need is the big central defender for Everton. Does enough. That looked like an Argyle throw, though. Medine's persistence there paying off. And Argyle will have a throw on the right-hand side. Cleal will take it. And he returns the ball to Tomlinson and inside to Randell. Miller. Argyle just calmly playing the ball across the midfield there. Then in the ball in towards Lolos from Peck was a little bit loose, and Everton will bring it forward on the right with John. Inside to Markello. Good defending this time from Peck, having given the ball away. He's won it back for Argyle, but Everton regain it in the centre of the park. Argyle win it back again, but the referee decides that was illegal, and it will be a free kick to the Toffees. Played 11 minutes here at Home Park, still 0-0 in this Premier League 2 Cup match.
Important game, Rob. I don't know whether you've been through it before I arrived on the scene, but Argyle win this, they go top of the group.
It's a very tight group, isn't it? 'Cause we're bottom at the moment, I believe, and winning it takes us top. So it's
exactly right, with one game to come for all the teams. So it really is. I was speaking to Nance at the weekend when we were up in Colchester, and he's very much of the opinion that we need to get something from both games. Probably a win and a draw might be enough to qualify. Top 2 qualify, of course. So a win and a draw, he's thinking might be enough. I think he's right, actually. So if we can just if we get a win here, then all to play for when Fulham visit a little bit later.
Yeah, I think I've got it as it stands that Everton and Watford both on 7 points, Fulham on 6, Argyle on 5. But these two teams, this is their 5th game for both of these sides. So
yeah,
once these two have both played, it's one game left for everybody.
That's
so
right.
Once this game gets towards the end, we'll start to look at some of the ramifications for the table. And of course, it's notable that the way these groups, the way these teams play in these competitions, it's not always a reflection of how the first teams are. But you would say Everton, Watford, and Fulham considered much bigger outfits than Plymouth Argyle, and so to be competing amongst those is clearly a good sign.
Category 1 academies, of course, and this time last year we reached our last 2 games and couldn't qualify, let alone could top the group. So although we had a very, very good win against Aston Villa, it does show the progress that's been made in the last 12 months, which was what this competition was always about for Plymouth Argyle. It was to make that sort of progress, and it's definitely served its purpose.
Well, I'm going to end up using the word twice here, but the development of the development side of the programme here is something that's not going to happen overnight, is it? And it's been happening over the last 2 or 3 seasons, and this will help it progress. Here's Law into the feet of Lolos, trying to return the ball back to his wing back, who's still trying to chase it down. It's right on the goal line. Everton are able to clear it though, but Argyle have it just inside their own half. Parrington, Lolos has to do a lot of his work with his back to goal, does Glidey. Bit of a thankless task at times. Argyle have won it back with Randell. Switched out to Cleal into the feet of Telford. Nice early ball that from Cleal. It put Everton on the back foot for a second, but again Telford was outnumbered. Everton are well stacked defensively, so when Argyle get forward there tends to be men over. Everton try and break, but good interception by Parrington. Cleal again on the right hand side, and Randell who's everywhere at the moment in terms of getting in front of the back 3, demanding the ball. It's good to see for a player of his nature. He wants to be on the ball, and although that was an errant pass, it won't faze him any. He's a player that absolutely thrives at being on the ball, and it must be really, really difficult for any player to come through, break into a first team scenario, but when you're a busy central midfielder that's got to be on the ball, that's such an important role, isn't it? For a manager to have enough faith in you to put you in that position at any point, you're going to have to be exceptional, aren't you, to get in there?
Yes, and I think young Adam has very much adapted his game. I think he probably, as he was coming through the ranks, he was always going to be a midfielder, one felt, but you weren't quite sure that he was going to be that midfielder, the one who everything went through and who dictated the play. There he is on the ball now, and looking for the pass over the top for Telford. He's not going to quite make it, but to be that central to things, and I think he's become a much more calm and composed and more intelligent player over the last, certainly last 12, 18 months. Maybe that's something to do with the fact, the new management team, I say new management team, they've been there a while now, but they're new to Adam this season. They've managed to instill in him a way they want him to play, and he's responded to what they've asked, and he's responded very well. And of course, he wore the captain's armband in pre-season friendlies. So
Ball played down the right-hand side. Looked, it might have been offside, but nothing given. And Everton will try and cut in from the right. It's Peck that's over there to block the cross coming in from Everson, and he did so well as Everton broke suddenly. Then it was John and then Everson as they tried to get the ball over. Before that's taken, just to wrap up with a bow what we were just talking about. I feel that Adam has grown both physically and mentally, because all the way along, if you come and saw the under-18s games over the last few years when he was coming through, he really was small in stature, wasn't he, against everyone else? But actually, now that he's grown up and physically can hang, it probably did him a favour when he was a lot smaller, because he had to work that little bit harder and it was more difficult for him. And although while he's not towering over everyone now, you certainly don't look at him anymore and go, oh, he's the little fella.
Yeah.
He's grown out and he's grown into a man before our eyes, really. Everton messing around with the throw-in on the right-hand side. They've got another chance to try and work something in. It's Ryan Ashley who's going to take it. Movement in front of him is a little short at the moment. In the end, he gets it to John, who tries to get the cross in. Did it come off of Law last? Nope, says the official on the far side. So Argyle will have a goal kick as we go past 16 minutes here without a goal so far.
Or indeed a shot, I think, Rob.
Yeah, nothing really of much to speak about so far. Both teams sort of working their way, and it can't be it can't be easy. The conditions. The home park pitch is in tremendous condition, and we ought to say a little word for the ground staff to get this game on. There must be a little thought in the backs of some people's minds of, oh, it's only a Premier League Cup game, we'll just call it off and have the game for the weekend. But they've worked hard to make the pitch playable, and it's to their credit.
I think what is interesting is that both sides are trying to play similar style of football. The attacking, passing, quick move and pass brand of football, which Ryan Lowe's brought to home park and has been so effective at first team level. And when you look at those teams, you wouldn't say, oh, there's a League Two team playing against a Premier League team, albeit they're academies. They're both seem to have the same philosophy, which is credit, I think.
Here is Medine playing it out to Law into the channel. I think that's where he was expecting Telford to be rather than where he was, but it's a bit of a misstep by Branthwaite. Telford shoots from the edge of the box. We do have our first shot. It's a little bit of a slice from the left foot of Dom Telford, but it's him showing his instincts are there, getting hold of the ball after an Everton misstep, and there's another one there from the same player, and it's come back to Medine. Randell, left-hand side is Law. If he wants to play him in, he had a shot from the edge of the box, did Randell. Maybe there was another option for the pass to the left-hand side, but it's always good to see a player with some confidence taking the shot on. And after Rick, you just mentioned that we haven't had a shot so far. Two in the 90 seconds following that. So do you want to keep mentioning that no-shot thing, and then we might have an absolute barrage.
We haven't seen any Argyle goals yet. How about that? What'd that do?
Yeah, we haven't seen anyone coming up to the gantry and handing out money. Let's try all these tactics.
No, they were good sort of half chances that Dom and Adam tried to make into full chances, and they've had a sighter now. They'll feel better for that, and maybe just put a few jitters through the opposition defence. Hang on a minute, these guys are going to give a half chance. They're going to take it, so we've got to be on our mettle.
Both left-footed shots as well from right-footed players. Had it fallen the other side, a bit of a mirror image, it might have been a different story. Ball is with Michael Cooper, the Argyle goalkeeper. Plays to Peck down the line, deflected out, so it's an Argyle throw-in. Just a little bit of pressure put on there by Everton. Not sure Cooper's ball to Peck really put Mike Peck in the best position to move it forward, but Argyle have managed to win the throw-in, which Law will retreat to take. We mentioned it the last time we had one of these games when Ryan Law was playing, Rick, but just to clarify, he is still on loan with Truro, but he's allowed to play in fixtures such as this for his parent club.
Indeed. They're not allowed to play in all fixtures. It just depends on the rules of the competitions. But this certainly is one where selection is not dependent on being a full-time.
Everton down the left-hand side. Ball is cut towards the edge of the box. There's a chance here for Sims. Goes down. Penalty. Penalty given. He was able to turn away from, I think it was Tomlinson that was trying, no, it was Peck, I think, that was tracking him across. And as he turns inside, we're just going to see the replay here. Ball was cut back just to behind the penalty spot. And as he turned, Peck, he didn't go completely down in the first instance, did Ellis Sims. I think credit to him, he was trying to stay on his feet, but in the end he did topple. And the referee, not very far away, says penalty. So Dennis Adeniran, who set that chance up from the left-hand side in number 11, places the ball. So 20 minutes exactly into this game, Michael Cooper has a chance to show what he's made of in the Argyle goal. Bouncing around at the moment, trying to put Adeniran off. Adeniran hands on hips, only a couple of steps to take here. Steps forward, right-footed shoot, saved by Michael Cooper. Away to his right. Danger not over though. Everton trying to push their way back in, and in the end, they made a bit of a hash of it on the left-hand side from Banning-in-me, and it's a goal kick. Oh, what a fine stop. We've seen some replays there from Cooper, making the save away to his right-hand side. You could throw in a cliche or two about it being a good height for the goalkeeper and not being in the corner, etc., but you still got to save them. And I just felt, he's the kind of goalkeeper that I feel I'd want him on my side in a penalty shootout. I just feel he's going to save one.
Absolutely. It might have been not quite in the right place, but certainly struck with some power. And
chance here for Everton, shot from the edge of the box. Did it get deflected or was it a miss hit? It did get deflected wide from Everson, and it'll be a corner.
Certainly plenty for Coops to do. It wasn't just a gimme. He had to make the save, as it were. And
we've seen it again. It was the little stutter step from the taker. Cooper read where he was going to pull it away to the taker's left-hand side, and so excellent stuff. So as we approach the midway point of this first half, that's the big talking point of the game. Everton's first chance comes from the spot, but it's repelled by the Argyle goalkeeper. Corner swung in. Cooper again full stretch to punch it away. Might be a chance for Markello to return it. Ashley, and now on the edge of the box, another shot comes in. This time it's Randell making the block. The ball is still spinning as they try and return it. Everton, and it's cleared by Law, and the break could be on here. Goalkeeper thought about coming a long way to get it, but in the end it fell to Telford. He can approach from the right hand side, goes to take on Branthwaite, edge of the box. Telford inside, looks to give it to Medine, but it didn't quite fall to him, and they can come away here, can Everton. Suddenly Argyle's chance to break. He kind of got held up in the wind.
There was just a moment there where Dom was going to try and pick up Cloudy with a first-time ball, but I think you're right. I think he thought the conditions and the way that Everton defenders were getting back, it was too ambitious a ball.
Yeah, and he was
possibly a break on.
He was possibly offside as well. I think just from whether Dom could have seen that from his low vantage point. We're obviously nice and high up in the gantry, but my instinct was play it now. And then as I looked, I thought Loris might have been just offside. So he held on to it. Argyle throw in. Cleal, Randell, and now Tom Parrington from the centre of the back three.
Certainly those last 5 minutes, or starting with Argyle's two-shot, will break off because Everton in possession.
Everton have won it back, and it's a chance to redeem himself from Adeniran. Shoots across the goalkeeper, and this time he has got it in. Well, it's a far harder chance, but he had to win it back and then do all the work himself. But having missed from 12 yards, only 2 minutes later, Dennis Adeniran wins it back, approaches the edge of the box, gets inside, and then fires the shot across Michael Cooper and into the corner. Well, you would have said that if those two chances were presented, you know which one would you have expected him to score. But he's confounded those expectations, has Dennis Adeniran. And Argyle go a goal down. That was a bit quick and sudden, wasn't it?
It was, and it was very well taken goal by a player who I remember in the game up at Southport was one of the biggest dangers that Everton had. I think I'm right saying, Rob, is he the fellow they bought from Fulham for quite a bit of money a couple of years ago?
It might well be. It certainly rings a bell with me as well.
And he certainly asked a lot of questions up at Southport, which we dealt with very well. But you know, he's the sort of player you probably don't want to give two chances to in a game. And but I thought up until that point, I thought that although Everton have had a couple of breaks, Argyle's controlled play and looking for the openings has been probably more of a feature of this game.
Well, you'd feel it was a bit of a homemade problem that from Argyle, wasn't it? The pocket getting picked inside their own half, playing around with the ball. I guess it's a danger of the philosophy, isn't it? At times you're going to play around people and you're going to look fantastic, but at times if you don't make decisions quickly and you give the ball away, you're up against it. Here's Cleo down the right-hand side, holding the ball by the touchline. Cuts inside and uses Tomlinson. Now Randell, quick feet, turns one way then the next, and then left-footed plants the ball in towards Lolos, who comes off the front well and turns, gets it round the corner towards Telford, but that was taken away from him, and Everton again dealing with it. It's Banning-in-me, who knocks it long towards Sims. Parrington stands off him a little bit and then just closes the gap as Sims comes inside. Back it goes again, Banning-in-me. Has to turn on the ball and then come left to Folds. Little clip with his right foot, that didn't come off at all, and Parrington deals with that. Good header by Branthwaite, returns it. And now down goes the Everton man under a little bit of pressure from Jerry Medine. It was the goal scorer, Adeniran. We talked about the nature of Argyle playing these, let's call them secondary games in the midst of storms. We had one during Storm Brendan, now Storm Kira. The next one that comes along, Storm Dennis it will be. Well, Dennis Adeniran is rather getting in ahead of the act. He's the next named Storm rather than this one. Argyle with a chance to build again and see if they can get themselves, I would say, back into this game. They're very much in the game. It's only 1-0, but they want to try and find some parity. And here is Parrington looking down the channel towards Lolos. Just got a bit beyond him, and it will eventually trickle out for a Toffee's throw on the left-hand side. Certainly feels like there's a noticeably slower pace to this game, isn't there, than you see from normal first team fixtures. It's only natural, isn't it? It's the way it goes. But it is notable how if you have players that play at this level all the time and then step up to first team, whether it's the Premier League or it's League Two, the level of intensity is just so different, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's probably more premium placed on technique and that aspect of the game than on pace. But I think when you get to first team level at any level, you have to bring it all, don't you? You have to bring the technique and the pace and the intelligence and the foresight and all those, everything. So I think this is...
I'll go with the chance. Just Lolos just trying to get himself in there. That just would not come down, that ball. In the end, Branthwaite did enough to hook it up in the air, and the goalkeeper claimed it. I don't think it was a back pass. It was just a piece of defending. But throughout all the weather we may have had, the home park pitch looks pretty solid. That bounced very high, and Lolos was just not able to get it down, was he?
No, he wasn't. But he's getting himself in good positions, Cloudy. You mentioned it early on. He just came off the front and came and took a ball into his feet, which I thought was a very intelligent bit of play. And talking of bounce, that one took a bit of a hop, didn't it?
Just a moment there as the ball went forward from the goalkeeper, and Michael Cooper was nearly caught for a second as the ball bounced. He did just enough to claim the ball, but a combination of the hard ground and wind behind. It's the kind of wind and ground you want when you're hitting a driver off of the 17th tee as opposed to when you're kicking a football.
I was going to say bowling at Centurion Park, but yeah, the same thing applies, yeah.
Keeper has another go for Everton. Tyra. This time it was a little floated 7-iron rather than the full driver, and it came into the feet of Sims, and Everton will work it in from the right-hand side. Good feet there from Kyle John. Trapped all the way by Peck, and then he shoots from distance as John, and Cooper was equal to that one. Plucked that one out of the air. I noticed this in an earlier game he was playing, and I think it might have been the Portsmouth game, is he has a tendency, Cooper, to catch things that other keepers would parry. Other keepers would have just pushed that up into the air and into the barn park end, and you'd be dealing with the corner, whereas Cooper seems able to pluck them out and keep hold of them, which is a superb ability for a goalkeeper. It sounds very basic, but it's actually not something that happens all the time.
It's a bit of a throwback, isn't it? I mean, when I was growing up watching football, which was too long ago to contemplate, but goalkeepers always caught the ball. You very rarely see them parry shots unless they absolutely had to. But now, as you say, it's a technique which has been developed over the years, whereas goalkeepers will deliberately parry a ball because they think it offers them the best opportunity of what they need to do next. I suppose
I think it's all about this situation, isn't it? I know that I always remember having spoke to Luke McCormick one time and asked him, I think it was for a programme interview we did, and asked him what's the best bit of advice you've ever been given, and he said Paul Sturrock always told me if you're not sure, punch it.
Yeah.
And Luke would always live by that, and obviously we know how good a goalkeeper he was.
Yeah.
And Michael would have learnt plenty from Luke in their time together. Everton with the ball on the left-hand side, folds inside. Notable that Everton have had the ball here for quite a while and have had no time on it whatsoever. Argyle pressing them. Credit to the Toffees, they've kept it, and they have it now with Everson trying to play a ball around the corner. Law read that well and managed to get it forward to Telford as well. It's 2-on-5 here for Telford and Lolos as they try and work their way through. In the end, it takes a decent bit of defending from Uzanides to get it clear. That looked offside there to me for Sims, not given. And he can turn it around the corner to John inside the penalty area on the right-hand side. Tries to flick the cross. Difficult to defend that because the run was... Adeniran had the run on Tomlinson, but he did well there, the Argyle man. And eventually, down the other side, Argyle have got themselves a throw-in, which Einar Everson was by no means happy with. Meanwhile, inside the area, there is still an Everton player down, and I think it is the goal scorer, Adam Near. And the referee hasn't spotted it yet. I'm not sure anyone has.
It just has.
Oh, there we go. He's just noticed it, and on will come the Everton physio, which is absolutely bang on half an hour. So it gives us a chance to just reset here. If you are joining us this afternoon on this free broadcast on Argyle iFollow, welcome along. Thank you for joining us. It's currently Argyle 0, Everton 1, as you can see in the top left of your screen. But that doesn't tell the full story. Argyle have been completely in this game. Had the first couple of chances of the game, and then suddenly Everton came alive. A penalty was saved by Mike Cooper from Dennis Adeniran, but the same player 2 minutes later managed to win the ball back, get into the area, fire across Coops and in. So that is how Everton have their lead. But on balance of play, forgetting the scoreline, I would imagine that Kevin Anskill and the Argyle bench will be relatively happy so far, wouldn't they, Rick?
I would think so. They would be happy, not with just the way the team's playing, but the attitude and the character that they're showing. And again, you go back to this idea of having an Argyle DNA, and only one Argyle, if you like, that's the club are going to, really make sure happens in the coming years, so that everybody from the under 8s right through to the first team know the way of the club, know the philosophy of the club, know what's going to happen. More on that later, but it's already happening organically, if you like, that this team is playing the same way that the first team does, with the same attitude, the same character, the same qualities that Ryan Lowe asks his first team to play with. And I think that's credit to the whole of the coaching. It's credit to Ryan Lowe and Director of Football Neil Dewsnip, and it's credit to all the coaches that they're all buying into that. I mean, we had a lovely chat at the weekend when we were away at Colchester with some of the coaching staff, and it's a passion of theirs. It's not just what they want to do, what they think they're going to do. They're absolutely passionate about doing it, which is great to see and great for the future of this football club.
Everton, we will chat a bit more about that later, perhaps at half time as well, is that Argyle just have to defend the ball that comes down into the right channel and out for a goal kick, which Cooper will take. Argyle have been playing into the wind during this half. I did say at the start of the game that it looked rather likely that we'd lost the toss, given that we don't normally switch around and play this way around, but staying in the game, it could end up being a bit of a blessing in the second half, because if Argyle are within a goal going into the second period, and you'd rather have the wind behind you, I'd imagine, in the second, as legs are tiring. Good defending there by Tomlinson, strong, and wins the ball, knocks it down the channel. I think it's going to go out for a throw into Everton, quite near their corner flag. So not a bad position here, really, for Argyle to push forward. The player I do want to mention is near the play at the moment. Not been too much in the game so far, but Jarvis Cleal is someone that has appeared on first team sheets quite recently, Rick, and he's someone that is followed. In fact, we'll come back to that, because Argyle have the ball just trying to push themselves forward. Here's Peck just inside the Argyle half with Randell. Can he find a way through in towards Telford? It was just a little bit overhit, and Everton should deal with this now. It's their turn to try and cause a little break. Adeniran through the gap. Oh, it was between two, and Argyle win it back again, and it's again yo-yo football. Argyle have a chance to go forward. Law tries to get past his man. His checked, goes out for a throw in on the left-hand side. Law goes back to Peck. And now Tomlinson inside the centre circle. Cleal on the right-hand side, the wing-back into Medine. Needs to protect it. Cleal gets it back. And again, 3-on-2, so it was really a bit tricky there for Argyle to retain it, but at least they've got themselves a throw in. Is Parrington from the back. Telford gets round the corner and then gets the ball to Lolos. Referee could come back for a free kick, hasn't done. Carries on because Argyle have got it. Inside the box, Law on the left. Oh, it just got away from him, away from his feet. Telford was fouled on the edge of the box, but Argyle had the ball. Fair play to the referee, because there was still a chance for Argyle to make something of it. Telford showing more good work there, just getting round the corner and creating something using his experience, his know-how. Everton break away and get themselves a throw in on the right-hand side. Just Ryan Law couldn't really get out from under his feet there as he had the chance to fire something across, could he?
Seemed to get away from him, didn't it?
Yeah.
He seemed to have it under control, and then suddenly it wasn't. It's almost, it took maybe a bobble or something. I don't know.
Perhaps a defender got a toe on it. We're a little bit far away to be able to see it. Now Telford wins the header in the air up against someone that's about a foot taller than him. That was all about timing as well. And now Randell, 2 on him, goes down. Referee eventually gives a free kick. He wasn't sure about that one. He looked at it for quite some time and then decided that Randell was impeded. He's taken a short free kick, gets it back again. Again, it's the Argyle man in the middle that wants to dictate. It's intercepted, and Everton will try and bring it forward down the left, and that's a bit of a miscommunication. That goes out for a throw-in. Gives me a chance to come back to what I was going to say before. Jarvis Cleal's about to take this throw-in. We've seen him on recent team sheets down as a sub. He's not the first this season. We've seen him, and we've seen Ruben Wilson, and we've seen others that the manager is happy to he's not necessarily throwing them in and giving them half an hour in a tough Sky Bet League 2 game, but the whole experience of going through the travel, the hotel, the breakfast, the pre-match, the warm-up, all of that is vital, and it's almost like he's rewarding their good performances.
Oh, it definitely is, and I mean he said as much.
And we'll maybe come back to that as the ball over the top actually goes through to the goalkeeper. Can continue.
I mean, Ryan Lowe has said as much. He said, if players do what's asked of them and they perform and show me that they're ready, then he's got no qualms about putting them in. Luke Jeffcott went away to Truro, did exactly what the gaffer wanted him to do, and how many rewards has he reaped recently? So. The message is clear, and it stacks up as well. It's not just empty words. These players, and he said about Jarvis Cleal that he's noted him in these sort of games.
Telford picking up the ball here for Argyle, 30 yards out. Now Law again does well, attacking down the left-hand side, tries to tee it up for Miller, but it was a bit heavy. Everton will try and break. John Miller retreating, does a good job of just checking John and stopping him from bursting forwards. Panning in me, out to the left-hand side to Folds, and now played into the feet of the goal scorer, Adeniran. And now Markello has got forward. He's on the edge of the box, evades one sliding challenge, manages to get the ball out to the right-hand side. Played short towards Ellis Sims, and he's towed the ball home, and Everton have a second. Well, I think there's a few people stopping to expect a free kick one way or another on the edge of the box there, because Markello had to evade a sliding tackle from Purrington there, and then he goes clattering into Peck. That rather looked a foul on Peck, but the ball was allowed to continue, and then Sims just got the wrong side from an Argyle perspective there of Tomlinson and was able to prod it home. I don't know about you, but I was kind of expecting that play to stop there one way or another. I don't think I was the only one. It looked like there was some bodies on the pitch as well.
The referee also went to, was it Mike Peck who was down there, who also went to him after the incident and spoke to him. I don't know whether he's saying, I would have booked you, I would have done something there if the goal hadn't have stood, or it's impossible to say, but he did have quite a long conversation with him.
Yeah, that was a very strange incident. Fair play to, first of all, to the goal scorer, Ellis Sims, making a good centre forwards run across the front.
Yeah.
Getting a toe onto the ball, basically demanding where he wanted the ball from the winger, and from the perspective of the cross and the finish, credit to Everton, it was a good striker's goal. Just before that though, it did rather feel to me as if Markello was a bit late going through Peck, but there we are. Argyle have the ball back. Randell trying to spread it out to Law. That was a good ball. It just got through the eye of a needle. Law tries to play it early, looking for Lolos or Telford. Telford flicks the header, the flag's up. The referee will allow the play to go on as the goalkeeper has it in his hands. Telford just trying to steer a clever header there. It wasn't a bad effort, but the flag was quickly up against Telford. Tyra knocks it long for Everton. Good interception by Randell, but picked up by his fellow captain, banging in me. Telford again is trying to look for the right bounce, and it did. It just got to him. It was difficult to pick hold of, and that's a good stride forward. And Everton are able to bring this ball away and try and play it in the left-hand channel for Adeniran. Left-hand side, tries to shoot near post. Probably should have either gone across the goalkeeper or tried to pick out Sims, who was making another run. But Everton look like they can do something suddenly, and they did there, didn't they, with Baningimi and then Adeniran looking very dangerous.
And Sims looking extremely frustrated that he made that great run to the far post, and it wasn't as you say picked out with that. I think he felt he should have been, certainly.
I think at the very least he would have expected his mate to shoot across the keeper, so that if Cooper saves it, then he's there for the rebound. Long again from Tyra, headed down by Sims. Everton having a good stretch here. And just on the edge of the box now with Everson trying to work his way in. That was a slip rather than a trip, and he knows it. Fair play, didn't actually ask for anything. Cleal to Randell as Argyle look to try and find something as we enter the last 5 minutes of this first half. Medine trying to get it towards Cleal, did so, and Cleal holds the ball up well enough. I thought that might have been an Everton throw, to be fair. Nothing given that way though, so Argyle have it with Jarvis, Cleal and Ollie Tomlinson. Parrington again. Randell is short, but this time Parrington says no, I'll take it myself. Moves it to Medine and then to Cleal from deep in towards Telford. Not sure if he was trying to leave that and end up hitting him, but anyway, Argyle have still got it. Lolos back to Peck. Randell about 45 yards out. Cleal's in some space on the right hand side if he feels like it. Randell with the shot into the wind, dipping and bouncing but going outside of the goal. Easy for Tyra to leave. That was a little sign of frustration there, I felt. There was nothing really on, so he just sent, he just decided just to have a lash at it from range.
He's got a good shot on him, Adam, so he needs to try and hone that a little bit more. But it's only going to take one moment like that for Argyle to be right back in this game. And as you said earlier, they're not out of the game. They're 2-0 behind, but they're certainly giving as good as they could get every now and again. A little bit of class from the senior side, which you would expect, shows itself. But then Argyle themselves aren't being outclassed or outdaunted or anything. I think I've just invented a word there, but you know what I mean. They're not. They're giving as good as they're getting, I think, is what we should be saying. And as I said, you've got to remember this is a Category 3 League 2 club against a Category 1 Premier League club, and not just any old Premier League club. It's Everton, for crying out loud. So, you need to take these things into consideration when making comparisons.
Folds on the left-hand side for Everton, just trying to flick the ball through to Sims. Tomlinson and Parrington getting in a little bit of a tangle, but in the end, Tom Parrington's able to run it out. It's out for a throw-in, given by a referee who I've now just noticed that from our angle, if we look at him from slightly above, looks like a bit of an older version of Greg Wild.
Oh.
I think it's the thinning hair that's made me think that. I know he sometimes listens to our commentary, so I just thought a shout out to Wildy. He's doing okay up at Clyde.
Often listens to our commentary.
Got a little Argyle enclave at Clyde at the moment, him and
Goody.
David Goodwillie.
Yeah.
Ball in the centre of midfield with Everton, and they move it out to the right-hand side. Ashley into the channel, left by a couple of Argyle players, but they didn't reckon on the run of Sims from middle to right to pick it up. So he gives it back again to Ashley. And just a couple of interchanges there by Adeniran and Ashley on the right-hand side. Everton quite confident now with the ball. They look like they've settled into this game. Now Adeniran's going to think about shooting from distance, deflected. No trouble for Cooper, but it was a heavy enough deflection that took it away from him and out for an Everton corner.
Closed down very well by Randell there, who was right on the ball. He knew what was happening, got straight to him, prevented any danger.
Yeah, we're just able to see a replay there, and it's worth noting that for all home Argyle fixtures, we do have the coverage that you're seeing this afternoon from 4 cameras, and indeed for games that do not take place on a Saturday afternoon, it means you can buy the match pass wherever you are in the world and see that footage. International subscribers can do so on Saturday games as well, and indeed for highlights etc. that are shown later on, we do have our brilliant 4 camera coverage of that. Corner swung in there from the left hand side from Everton, went by everybody, and in the end Lolos was able to knock it long. Telford again, good anticipation and work from Telford, managing to come out of that with the ball. In the end it's won back by Everton. Just a bit of physicality there on Dom that he's probably not quite ready for yet, but that's the whole point of building back up the fitness. Everton down the left. Markello and Adeniran. Markello again, that's the turn. Telford again read that one. Markello just got there first, but not by much, and Everton being forced back. Randell, well, he's going to go into the book there. Certainly from my angle, he got plenty on the ball. Let's have a look at that replay. Did he leave a left leg trailing? I can't really see a great deal wrong with that. The referee's in a good position, right enough. Only from our angle that we saw that from, we saw Randell claiming the ball. Oh, yeah, you can see from behind actually it's a better angle, that replay. Just the left leg trailing. Booking and the speed at which the referee did so seems a little bit over the top, but I can understand where he's coming from. It was the angle of the tackle, really. So Argyle skipper goes into the book right on the cusp of half-time. 45 minutes has been played. Don't tend to get lots and lots and lots of minutes of injury time in these games, so I wouldn't have thought we had much more to go. There is a fourth official today, but he doesn't seem to have a board. Sims with one more chance for Everton, perhaps before the half ends. Gets the ball on the turn. Cooper is able to claim that. There wasn't exactly a lot of velocity on the shot, but Cooper still was able to read it, throw his body on top of it. And he has the ball in his hands. Will we have any time for any more action? We've played 40 seconds or so over the 45. Long from Cooper, too long in fact. It's going to go through to his opposite number. Well, 31-1, but you take my point. And the number one, Tyra, rolls it out to the right-hand side. Everton bring it forward as Ryan Ashley. Thinks once, then twice about going long. Holds the ball up in the end and plays it through. And that's good feet again from Adeniran, who just seems to turn up all over the place for Everton at the moment. He's been their main man in this first half, which he probably wouldn't have said after he'd missed his penalty, but since then he's been very involved. And here he is again, plays it round the corner. Law was a little bit late with his tackle, but Everton play on, and now Ellis Sims is going to try and get beyond Tomlinson, just inside the area. Wriggles the ball on his left foot. Great tackle by Tomlinson. Great recovery, because he'd let Sims run off him, but he stuck to his task, and in the end an excellent block. I think he hurt himself in the process, but fair credit to Ollie Tomlinson. As a defender, you're going to have those situations where you need to recover, and he did so brilliantly there. Everton are going to take a kick on the left-hand side. Baningimi has taken a while to go over and take it. I think once this is swung in and dealt with, I think we'll have our half-time. I think it's fairly obvious where this ball is going to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5 Everton players, and therefore about 7 Argyle players plus goalkeeper, all inside the 6-yard box. I don't think he's taking this one short. And it comes right-footed, fizzed in. It's gone straight in. It's gone, so I think straight in, although Everton do go across to one player who's claiming that he's got a touch on it. I think there's a bit of a discrepancy between Ryan Ashley, who is claiming that he got a flick on it, and the corner taker, Baningimi, who sent it in. Well, we're going to get half-time with another goal, and then that 3-0 scoreline kind of came from nowhere, with just after the 20-minute mark, when Michael Cooper had made a save, a penalty save for Argyle. The Pilgrims were certainly in that game. It was Everton's first chance. Their first shot was from the penalty spot, which Cooper saved. But within 2 minutes, they were able to get themselves another chance, and it was Adeniran, who had missed the spot kick, who put Everton in front with a right-footed shot that went across Cooper. And then Ellis Sims was able to make it too. Argyle may have felt that they could have had a free kick on the edge of the box, but as the ball was moved out from right side to the centre, Ellis Sims got a toe on it, and 2-0 it was. And then right at the end there, as we thought that the first half was going to end at any point, we could see that the corner was going to be swung into the middle. I thought it went absolutely straight in. Ryan Ashley thought different. He said it hit the top of my head. His corner taker, his captain, suggested, I don't think you did touch it, mate. And they had a little bit of a moment, but a moment that I'm sure will be light-hearted and soon forgotten between them. There'll be a little chat in the dressing room right now about whose goal that was. The chat in Argyle's dressing room will probably be a little bit bemused, because I don't think they'll feel that they've done enough to be 3-0 down, but 3-0 down they are, Rick.
I totally agree with that, Sammy. I think 2-0 would have been, they could have felt a little bit hard done by. Unfortunately, and you called the corner, you said it was going to go into the 6-yard box, and it did, and it just crept in at the back post, that last one, didn't it? And 3-0 looks like something you've taken absolutely hammering, but how many shots apart from that have Everton had? Probably one on target, which Coop saved quite comfortably. So I suppose it is a question of taking what chances you managed to have. We're looking at the penalty save. That's a great penalty save. But Argyle probably need to try and create a few more chances. But then, they have got two players playing up front who, there's probably bigger fish to fry in terms of Telfer's obviously coming back to fitness, and Lolas wasn't considered fit enough to join the party on Saturday. I think he had a heavy cold, so they're probably not totally 100% fit. There's that shot I said that Coops saved quite comfortably. But no, I think they've got an excellent account of themselves, Argyle, from back to front. It's just it's the key moments, I suppose you might say.
This was the second goal, the low cross, and Sims just stealing a march on Tomlinson there. This is where I thought, to me, that's a foul on Peck, and Argyle should have a free kick on the edge of the box. But from there, they don't really deal with the cross coming in, and Sims gets across in front. I think we're going to see it again.
Is that Ashley crossing the ball there? Yes, it is.
I think it might be. No, I think it was John. I think it
was
Kyle John that rolled it across. But and there's the corner flying all the way in. I don't know if we were able to. I don't think we were able to slow it down enough to get an idea. Certainly not from that angle. Perhaps from behind the goal, we might see if it got a flick. Or do you know, if anything, I think it might have had a flick off of Cleal. But I would claim it if I was getting forward. Not that I ever got forward in my career into the 6-yard box from corners, but I would be claiming it as well. I think we'll probably have a little look at those highlights again later on in the half-time break. But just to reassess on that first half, it felt like, in terms of, I know you can't take goals away from football matches, that's kind of what they're about, but in terms of certainly the first 20-25 minutes of this game, in terms of the pattern of play, keeping it, creating chances, Argyle absolutely matched their rather senior opponents, didn't they? And so in terms of what managers will look at as well as results, there'll be, I would imagine, a degree of happiness from Kevin Danskeville and others.
If the players are playing to the style the management, the coaching staff want them to play to, then that's got to be a positive. It doesn't really, I know, again, echoing what you said, the result matters. Of course it matters. You're in a league, you're playing games because you want to win them, and that's base. But there are secondary things to be taken out of matches, and it's to see how players react. It's Ryan Lowe will be looking to see how his players react from losing at Colchester on Saturday. It's all about reactions. It's not about necessarily all about the moment and the time that we're talking about. It's about what happens next. And all these players are young players. They're playing against players who are generally more experienced at the level of football that they're playing at. And we shouldn't forget that we've already drawn 1-1 with Everton up at Southport. So. And indeed won at Watford and done very well in this competition. So you take that first half in isolation. It's 3-0, but the players played some very good football, some very attractive football. They're obviously trying to do what the management want to do in terms of their attitude, their character, their style of play, the brand, if you like. And these are positives to be taken from it.
Without a doubt, and I think we'll probably be able to run those highlights through again if we have just a moment, just to be able to see some of those first half incidents one more time for you. If you darted away and made your cup of tea at half time and you're now sitting down with them. So we'll have a little look again. This was Randell's shot from the edge of the box getting us going, where I suppose the paucity of the actual Argyle chances in this will indicate that we weren't quite as good going forward as indeed Everton were. But that was really the second chance of the game. We'd just seen Telford have a shot just before then. And at that point you would say that Argyle were more than in it. Sims turning away from Peck there. I think it's a penalty, isn't it?
It's a penalty. It's clever play by Sims. He's been very impressive this half, I think. He looks a good player.
Yeah, he's moving. He just gets away from the back of Peck here, and he's expecting the shot, turns away. Yeah. I'm not sure there's a great deal of contact from you can see from that in angle, but he's definitely done enough to get beyond. But then a good save. Good strong arms from Cooper, pushing, not just saving it, but pushing the ball away. You can see as he reads where it's going, but look, pushes it outside of the danger area, and Argyle in fact they don't get it first, but it's away from any immediate danger of anyone following up, isn't it? Because of the nature of the save. Here we see it from another angle. Fantastic to have 4 angles of or 4 camera shots anyway of the incidents. That was a great save. Unfortunately, this was just minutes afterwards, and it was what you don't see quite from that highlight is that he won it back himself there, did Adeniran, and then reached forward. Not much Parrington can do. He does everything pretty much right there. There's Tom showing him outside rather than in, and he's just a bit exposed and isolated. If he goes across, then the ball gets played past him. So it
was just a little burst of pace, wasn't there, that just created that angle, I think. Again, like you say, Tom's got across. He's done what you have to do as a defender, but the attacker's just done what the attacker has to do as an attacker.
What you can see from that shot there that comes in from John from distance was that just the swerve on that
That is a
ball.
foul, for me. That's a foul. You're right, Rob. The more you look at that, you think, well, how did the referee let that play go on?
Do you know what I think, honestly? And this is not the right way of thinking, but if we go from it right there, that's a slip from Tom Parrington. It was Tom Parrington. I think the referee thinks that Parrington has slid in to try and bring him down, and he missed. And it's almost like in his head he's given an advice. So here, I think the referee thinks that was a foul, the first one, and then it's almost like because the second one happens, he thinks that it cancels each other out. I know that's not how it works, but I just wonder if in his head he thought, well, we'll let it go. And here we see again the corner. That maybe does take a little deviation there, just on second glance at the ball coming in. We won't quite get it from that angle because it's a bit quick for the camera, but from behind the goal, not that I don't see why we have to play ombudsman between who scored for Everton, but I do think
I think he did get something on it.
I do think there is a little flick there from.
We'll give it to him.
I think, look, he's a right backs union. I was a right back. Number twos don't get forward and score goals very often, so we'll give that to Ryan Ashley, and we'll be back with the rest of the second half coverage shortly when the players come back out again. But we'll stay with you for the time being because I thought we'd just have a little chat about the first team, how things are going right now, and how it looks going forward. I said right at the start of this broadcast that it's the start of February. Really, it feels like Christmas has only just gone, but actually, in about 10 weeks' time, 11 weeks' time, we're all done, aren't we? The end of this season is going to be a frantic one.
It certainly is because there's a lot of teams that currently are involved there, and the idea will be to try and pull away as quickly as possible from those teams. But everybody seems to be hanging around, and I noticed that certainly if you're looking at the playoffs, which I don't think we should be, I think we've got what it takes to be able to get automatic promotion, if not the title. But if you're looking at the whole playoff situation as a neutral or as an independent, there's quite a few more teams that's come into it in the last few weeks. I know Port Vale have come from sort of seemingly nowhere to the very fringes of it. Bradford is still hanging around, but in terms of the top of the table, the 3 automatic promotion spots, we should definitely be looking ahead rather than beyond. And I think the fact that we lost on Saturday is exactly as the manager said. It's a blip. It's one of those things that you can't quite explain. You look at the record before that. I mean, I think it's still only 2 defeats in 11 games, which is fantastic form. And I think we've got some good players. We've got a good management team. We've got coaches. Everybody's on the same page. I really feel that it's in our hands. I feel that very strongly. And I've been here a few years, and you know me, Rob. I'm probably as cynical as anybody who's ever worked in football, but I don't feel remotely cynical about our opportunities this season. I think we've got everything right from going back to after Derek Adams left. I think we've done pretty well everything right on and off the field since then, which is credit to everybody who works here. And I think we're well placed. And we've got Exeter to come here, and we've got Crewe to come here on Saturday. It's going to be a big game. And so we've got 2 of our rivals. We've already played Swindon twice. So if you look at the top 4 or 5, we've done the hard work, if you like, if you want to say it like that. I mean, I know people say they're all hard and they're all difficult games, but you'd rather be doing it rather than the other way around, wouldn't you? You'd rather not have to go to Exeter and not have to go to Crewe than have them here. So I think that's going to help us. And I just think that the way we play attacking football. We haven't had a draw since, I think I'm right in saying, the Swindon away game in the league, which is it's great because we always say it, don't we? It's better to sort of win one game than draw 2. You can be undefeated in 2. You can win 1, lose 1. You'll still be better off in terms of points if you win 1, lose 1. And I think that's what we do well. We accumulate the wins. And then, okay, if you're going to have a bad day at the office, a blip, as the manager calls it, have one, and then get back and win the next 5. Actually, I forgot the draw against Crawley, didn't I? But apart from that, and our form on the road has been superb. So if we've got to play half the games at home, half the games away. I think we're as good as anybody away from home in terms of form and ability and taking the game to the opposition.
I think that you mentioned the fact that it's wins as well as you can chuck all sorts of stats out, can't you, about staying unbeaten and whatever. But sometimes you can have, like I think it's Gillingham in the division up that they've only lost 1 of their last 9, but they've drawn 7 of them.
Culture's a bit like that before Saturday.
Yeah, Culture have drawn a lot of games. Actually,
9 draws out of 16.
Yeah.
They were unbeaten. They lost to Cambridge before they played us. Yeah. But up to that point, I think, as you say, unbeaten in 16. But 9 of them have been, or at least 7 of them in draw. I can't remember which split it was. I think it was 7 wins and 9 draws. It's a great record. It's good for the players to keep an unbeaten run going. But points-wise, they're they're behind,
And
as it were. So
they are going well. They're now up to 5th with
Yeah.
that result, but we've got a couple of games in hand on them, and indeed on the leader Swindon. You talked about the games we played against the big sides so far. The 3 teams above us anyway. It is curious how opening day of the season 3-0 to Argyle could have been more. Losing at Exeter 4-0, that quite frankly could have been more. But the games in between, the 2 Swindon games, so close, so competitive. It is before the Colchester game, the one loss in a long period of time. But even in context, played well against Swindon. It wasn't like the leaders came here and knocked us off the park. That could have gone either way. So we absolutely know we're competitive with anybody. Like you said, I do think it should be looked as a blip, because if you're into statistical analysis of things rather than just watching games of football, it absolutely came out of nowhere. There was nothing to suggest that was going to happen.
No.
And it kind of happened in 45 as well, because we were just as competitive in the second half.
Yeah.
Second half in isolation was a competitive half, wasn't it? So it's actually 45, indeed 30 iffy minutes, really.
I don't think there were even 30 iffy minutes. I think there were some iffy situations within the first 30 minutes that bit us basically. I mean, all managers say it, and that you learn more about your team in a defeat than you do in a win. And I think maybe it's horrible to lose any time, but if you're going to lose 16 games out, maybe that's a little bit of a slap around the face that you need, a little bit of a refresher, a little bit of still work to do, lad, sort of thing. I'm not saying they ease off at any minute. I wouldn't say that at all. But sometimes it's not the worst thing in the world to have to sort of regroup and reassess what you're doing and then come back stronger for it.
Yeah, absolutely right. And as the teams are back on the pitch for the second half, we'll get into that the second half action a little bit more, because I think there's going to be some at least one change here. I'm just trying to work out how many are on the
Wilson for Telford. I think is probably going to be the shout, isn't it?
Yeah, that was probably preordained. I would have thought as well.
Yeah,
that was always going to happen as a matter of course. So. Excuse me, it's Ruben Wilson that's going to come on. We are waiting for the officials at the moment. Actually, the teams are back on, but here comes. I wonder if I just had this picture of the ref standing outside the players' doors. There, going, they're taking a while, not knowing that the players are already out on the pitch. But here he is, Greg Wild II, coming out to.
It's Adrian Quelch, if you want to give him his real.
I did name check him earlier on.
Brilliant. Okay.
A good name for today, isn't it?
Yes.
It should be called Stephen Quelch rather than Adrian. I think Squelch would have been a much better thing. Does sound like he might be head of potions at Hogwarts or something, Mr. Quelch. But we're about to start on this second period. If you are just joining us for the second half, welcome along first of all to Argyle I Follow. We appreciate you being with us today. It is Argyle 0, Everton 3, which doesn't quite tell the story of the first half. Although Everton missed a penalty. Well, I shouldn't say that. Michael Cooper saved a penalty. I was put right by that at the very end of last season, where I happened to be watching Liverpool playing Barcelona when they had that amazing comeback in the Champions League, and texted the former goalkeeper of ours, who I've already mentioned today, and said how Origi missed a penalty against Argyle, but scores against Barcelona. And Luke reminded me he didn't miss. I saved it. So Michael Cooper saved a penalty in the first half, but Everton went on to score 3 goals, which is, Everton deserved to be in front, there's no doubting that. But Argyle, more than in this game, as Everton just win the first free kick of the second period, 30 seconds in. It was Randell that brought down Sims there. Randell did go into the book in the first half. You don't tend to see too many cards flying around in games such as this, but the referee was quite vehement in his booking for Argyle skipper today, so we'll have to be careful, Will Randell. Might be another player that perhaps doesn't quite last the 90 with other things in view. Cross comes in from the free kick, headed away by Tomlinson, I think it was. Everton try and rework it back in through Baningimi, and then spread to the right-hand side. Pushing down the flank here is Everson. Did he keep that in? I think he did, and it's deflected off of Peck, so it's a corner. Do we think there'll be half an eye on Adam Randell being pulled before the end because of saving his legs if he's having to travel up to Salford?
Yes, I think that might be the case, although probably you're also looking at Dom as somebody who's coming back from injury as well, and not just looking forward but looking back and making sure that his rehabilitation is not too much too soon, as it were. Rance could probably play 2 games in 2 days, no problem.
That's
I'd like
true,
to think he
actually.
could, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But you know, you're maybe right. I don't know what their thinking is, except I would imagine Rans and Coops are in the squad for tomorrow night, or in the long squad, as it were, for tomorrow night. They have been virtually every other match day squad this season, I think. So yeah, interesting. Now that Ruben's come on, you've got four players in our team who've experienced first team football this season, which is interesting in itself. We talk about it being an under 23 cup competition and the development of players, and there you have 4 of them who are in this game who've played first team football this season.
Yeah, it bodes well. I mean, it continues our conversation from the first half about the progression. You called it the Argyle DNA, and about how to look through that. But I think for a lot of these players, it's not just about how good you are and whether or not you may get a game. Obviously, if you're spectacularly good, you're going to play wherever you are. But some clubs won't give players the chance. It's about knowing that you have the chance, isn't it? You can play as well. You could score 8 goals a week for the under 18s and never get a look in further on because no one's willing to give you that chance. When players see their peers or the people just a year above them getting chances, then they're going to look alive to that chance themselves, aren't they?
Yeah, agreed. And I think we would all say, wouldn't we, as Argyle fans or Argyle members of staff, that you would love it if more than just 1 or 2 players came through every now and again. If it was a regular sort of production line of players who can make that step up, which we all agree is the most difficult step to make up from 18s football to senior men's football. Which again, this is under 23, so that's a step in the right direction. But you would love to see, wouldn't you? Argyle players regularly making that bridge from 16s, 18s, first team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any doubt whatsoever. I think I speak for most of my fellow fans that I've been delighted to see Ryan Hardy get into the team and score goals. It's been brilliant. I'm a little bit more excited to see Luke Jeffcott do it because of the whole one of our own theory, and it's I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That's certainly not a knock on Hardy by any stretch, but it's been great to see. And I think even going back further, when I was here as a permanent member of staff, just as Argyle knock a ball into the channel here, Wilson chasing it, Branthwaite should deal with it. He's going to go down here and get a free kick. He is. I remember Tyler Harvey scoring against Exeter. Obviously it's not quite worked out for Tyler the way we hoped, but at that time he got his chance at the start of the season. It was a real baptism for him, wasn't it? Second game of the season, being asked to play in that game against Exeter and scoring a wonderful goal. And I remember how good I felt for him at that stage. And I think that you have that feeling as a fan of the one your own thing. And secondarily, from a business perspective, if people break through and get sold on for potloads of money, it's not the worst thing in the world either, is it, to have that production line? So, 2 ways of looking at it. Everton go down the left-hand side here with Adeniran, gets into the box, tries to play it through to Sims. It was taken away from him. Good defending by Argyle. And they're going to try and run it away as well down this left-hand side. Law, Lolos, Randell, good football, keeping it as well. Law turns well on his left foot, tries to clip it down the line, didn't get hold of it. And Everton will get it back through Markello. And now Uzanides brings it out from the back, crosses the halfway line, goes inside and uses Baningimi towards the edge of the box. Out to his left is Adeniran. Just can't quite get it out from under his feet. Then does some flicking around as the wind is really whipping around here at Home Park at the moment. Adeniran right on the touchline, holds it up, goes down. Free kick given. Close attention from Ollie Tomlinson, was too close according to the referee, and Everton will have a free kick from the left-hand side. Just a couple of moments there, one in defence, one going forward, where just being a bit cute and maybe a little bit more streetwise there, Everton, and earning their free kicks.
What's interesting from Argyle coming out the second half, I think Jeremy Dean's pushed a little bit further forward, maybe trying to get him in between the lines. Maybe they suspect that there's somewhere where they can get the ball and do something with it. If they can get the ball.
At the moment, the ball won't sit still. I think one of those little tees that they have for the kickers in the rugby. The ball is taken from the left-hand side, crossed in, whipped in. Not a bad delivery either from the left-hand side there from Everton, from Folds. I think it actually rolled just towards him just as he took it. It probably helped a little bit, actually, got a little bit of momentum. Again, it's quite hard for the referees to work out exactly how the ball is oscillating around. Law from the back tries to clip it up towards Lolos, won by Ashley. Argyle headed away, brought down by Miller, and now Lolos trying to dig it out of a tricky situation. Miller to Law. Holds it right by the touchline and then back to Peck. Randell and Parrington. Again, Randell shuttles along to try and be the man to take it. Cleo plays it inside to him. That's good from Argyle. Really neatly done. And now just didn't quite get there from Randell to Cleo, but apart from maybe one more hemisphere roll of the ball there, that was almost textbook stuff, wasn't it? Moving the ball around.
And you know, there you go. That's probably what Nance said in the dressing room at half time. Keep doing what we're asking you to do. Keep doing it. Stick to the plan, and you know, things will happen.
I don't think, it's about doing the basics and keeping it going. And we're not going to interview one of these players in 10 years' time and say, what's your biggest regret? And they say, well, that day we lost 3-0 to Everton in the Premier League Cup. But it's all about, at this moment in time, doing the right thing and getting into a habit, isn't it? Here's Everson on the halfway line, trying to play it around the corner. Randell didn't get there, but probably did just enough to stop Everton's momentum. And now Ashley on the halfway line. Down the right-hand side, well intercepted by Ryan Law. And out for a throw-in. He, of course, like Luke Jeffcott was, on loan to Paul Watton's Truro. Having a pretty decent season themselves. Ashley. Down the right-hand side. Now Kyle John, back to Ashley again. Markello. Banning Emi. Looked for the run out to the left-hand side of Fold, but then decided against it. Checks inside. Adeniran, edge of the box, going to shoot from distance, but it was wayward. Hopeful. Flies into block 3 rather than troubling Michael Cooper in any way. And again, replay from behind the goal shows that was over the posts rather than underneath. There's a nice shot there. There's Michael Cooper standing in front of a goalkeeping legends mural there behind him. Romain. Played out from the back, short to Parrington, and then he clips it towards Wilson, who I think felt he was held back, nothing given. And Everton have it again. They've managed to keep the ball well in this opening stage of the second half of Everton. The 3 goals in the first half rather settling them. Here's Ashley. He returns it to Uzanidis inside his own half. Pressure from Lolos, and there was just a moment there where the centre half looked in a little bit of trouble. Ball cleared away. Well won again by Randell in midfield. Knocked down by Wilson to Medine. He's fighting for a loose one. Didn't quite win it. And Everton with Ashley trying to spread it to the right-hand side. Good interception from Peck, because had he not got to that, then Kyle John might have had a lot of grass in front of him to run into. As it was, Peck moving across from the left side of 3 central defenders did just enough. Ashley takes the throw into Sims. Ashley again, turn Everson, good tackle from Miller. And Argyle will come out from the back. Parrington is happy to bring it forward. Central defender, but he's happy playing in midfield as well, so he's comfortable on the ball getting it forward. Good play by Lolos. Didn't quite get it to Law. Did everything right before that, did Clyde Lolos. And now the breakaway for Everton offside. It was a good run in the channel from Ellis Sims, it seemed. But the flag went up quite quickly from the official on the near side. Argyle take that free kick from miles from behind where it needed to be, but on they go. Randell, lovely clip out to the left-hand side to Law, who brings it down without checking his stride. Oh, I thought he was going to come inside then and take Ashley on. As it was, the right back did a good job, blocked across. But Argyle moved down the left-hand side. A couple of the tricks that they have in their locker. They know that Law is good at running with the ball at pace. They know that Randell's a good passer, and those two things linked up nicely there. Here's Peck, Randell. Drifting backwards, but comfortable on it. Not got much on. Has to go back to the goalkeeper. It was all he could really do there. Randell, it was the right decision. And Argyle will build again. Parrington turns. Approaches the centre circle. Both wing backs trying to present themselves for the ball. In the end, he chooses right. The right side, I mean, to Cleal. And now Randell into Everton territory. To Peck. Argyle just looking for the ball through. Peck to Lolos, back to Peck again. And says to Randell, you're the man to try and break us through, but in the end Everton have enough bodies around Ruben Wilson, and it's the men in the rather day-glow cerise shirts that get it over the halfway line. Markello on the ball. Everson, who drops deep occasionally to try and get himself involved, and this is another one of those occasions. Round the corner to Markello, pushing forward, he goes down. It was Medine. A bit of a combination really of a couple of players. I think the referee just wants to have a little chat with Medine. He's pointed to a few different places. A pantomime from the referee to show everyone from the back row to those that are next to him exactly what he's saying. He's saying to Medine, that's a few tackles now, a few fouls. I think the underlying threat there is one more, and it will be a second yellow card of the day for an Argyle player. Randell having picked one up in the first period. Ball down the right hand side for Everton, played inside again, and now Everson gets the cross in. Randell will get it away. Free kick to Argyle, just a foul given there on Ruben Wilson. Looking to take it quickly, referee not allowing it immediately, or I think he was trying to get the Everton players back far enough, but Argyle are happy to take it short and happy to try and play the ball that way. Randell switches it towards Peck, but he's slight miscontrol. It was picked up from John, but good covering across there from Parrington. And now Lolos tries to flick it round the corner and chase after it. He's got there as well. Excellent hassling from Lolos. Was being held, but still carries on. Oh, that's got to be a free kick at some stage. He was being held just before he was fouled. I think the tackle was a fair enough one, but there was a bit of holding going on before that. Anyway, it doesn't really matter because Everton are breaking. Nothing was given, despite that good play from Lolos. And here is the ball in the centre here for Everton. Markello. Game has slowed back to a walking pace. Ashley. Still he has it on the right hand side. A set of 1-2s with Everson. This is walking football at the moment. Ashley, with a late one from Lolos. That's probably a bit of frustration there from what was happening before. So Argyle do have their second booking of the day. The referee threatened a booking against Medine a couple of minutes ago. This time he actually does get his yellow card out and books Clyde Lolos. So following Randell's booking in the first half, Lolos now has one. That was it was a foul, and you can understand where the referee's coming from. Then I think he was just frustrated there from what had happened before. I think he felt that he did everything right against Uzunides at the back for Everton, getting the ball off of him, getting into the area, and nothing was given to him. And I think I think it's fair to say with Clyde, he is a bit fiery, isn't he? He's got a bit of a temper on him, and it boiled over a wee bit then.
Frustrations.
Yes, that was absolutely what it was. Absolutely what it was. And I sympathise with him because I felt he was fouled in the instance before that. Argyle have the ball again. Miller with an intelligent sideways ball to Randell. And now they're down the channel looking for Wilson. He's not going to quite get to that. There's a bit overhit from Cleal. And out for a goal kick. We've played just over the hour mark here now at Home Park. It's still Argyle 0, Everton 3. Everton's 3 goals coming in the second half of the first half, if you get my drift. But after the 22-minute mark, 3 goals coming from Adeniran, Sims and Ashley, which give the Toffees their 3-goal lead at this moment in time. Were this to stay the same, or at least on any form of an Everton win today, this would not necessarily end the group stage for Argyle, would it, Rick? We would still be able to qualify based on a win in the last game and a result going our way?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it's that tight at the moment. I think this would put Everton through, possibly. But
well, we play Fulham as well, don't we? So we can deny them points and score. But if we beat Fulham, we'll get 1 more point than they've already got, I think. Are they on 6 points currently, or?
Yeah, I think it's 7. Is it 7-7-6-5? I can't remember which way around it is, but it's something like that. And it's I'll find
it would go to goal difference, wouldn't it?
Ball is down the right-hand side. We'll have a look at that table just after this cross has come in. It's going to be kept in on the left-hand side here for Everton from Banning. Is he going to shoot? No, he tries to play it down the line for Folds. Ball stood up to the far post. If Sims is underneath it, it's the easiest of headed goals. He's found himself with lots and lots of space. No one picking him up, and Everton do have their fourth. It's a rather simple one. Little teed up ball there from the left-hand side from Folds, and there'll be... Well, I think that's the first time. We've seen a few goals go against Argyle today, but I think that's the first one where you do feel there'll be a bit of an inquest afterwards. Someone has got to take some responsibility, you would think, for who should have been picking up Sims. Not my job to say who it was, but there's several green shirts around looking at the unmarked Everton man as he nods in from a couple of yards. That really was a facile goal as far as he was concerned. Yeah, returning to our point before, we would need, if Argyle were to beat Fulham in that remaining game, assuming this game is now beyond us, it's Everton. Everton would go to 10 points, so they'd be essentially they would be through. Watford are on 7, Fulham are on 6, so Argyle could get to 8 above Fulham, but we would need Watford to lose against Everton, basically. And that game takes place. Is there a date for that game?
There is. I can't remember it off the top.
Chance here for Argyle, just inside the area. Wilson trying to turn, can't quite get it away from out from under his feet, and the Toffees do get it away. That was good play in the build-up by Cleel, but Wilson couldn't quite get it away. And now the run from Adeniran, well picked up by a couple of Argyle players, Randall and Tomlinson between them, saw to that one. Cooper, and now Parrington, looking for the run of Wilson.
Fulham game is a fortnight tomorrow, Rob, at Home Park. It's a 7 o'clock kick-off on Tuesday, February 25th.
Excellent.
So if the weather's a bit warmer and it being an evening kick-off and there's still something on it for Argyle, it'd be good to get a nice crowd here to come and try and cheer them into the knockout stages of the competition. Yeah,
plenty of, should we call them ancillary games going on at the moment, because there's a game next Tuesday against Bristol Rovers, is that correct?
It's next Tuesday the 18th, the same day as in Macclesfield. Yes, there's all sorts going on. That's here, isn't it?
Yeah, so there's a game here.
Yeah.
Ashley down the right-hand side for Everton. That's the stretch out to get the 1-2 pass back. Law did enough to block it, and it goes out for another throw-in.
Yes, I don't think certainly Mike Cooper won't be playing in that game, and I wouldn't have thought Randall or Telford will be involved in that. But we'll still put out a good, strong side. And I think the one thing you always rely on the Green Army to do, and that's to support an Argyle team, whatever it is, whatever level they play in.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies team as well. There's a great feeling for. I'll break off because Everton are on the attack here.
Yeah, it's Folds again down the left-hand side. Gets the cross in, and again it was the same duo that have put the Everton fourth goal in between Folds and Sims. This time the header was a little bit ahead of, the ball was a little bit ahead of Sims, and his header was not directed on target. We're going to have an Everton substitution. We're going to need to rely on some people turning round so I can see their numbers here to judge this one. But it looks fairly certain that it's going to be Dennis Adeniran that's going off, and the number that's lifted up is 15. So on my sheet, that's Seb Quirk, who's coming on. These games can be, especially pre-season friendlies as well, but these games can be notorious for substitutes not necessarily picking up the number that we've been told they're going to wear. So if you are an Everton aficionado and you know that that's not Seb Quirk, we do apologise, but on our sheet that's who we've got, so that's what we're going with. Argyle have a free kick. Ball was played through to Wilson, who once or twice has been held up. This time the referee is given a free kick for that. He's been a bit of a stickler for where it's being taken from. Randall does that and takes it short, gets it back, and a quick piece of footwork kept it, but then a 1-2 lost it, and then that's a covering challenge by Parrington. He's going to get a yellow card for this one. I think that's what's known in the trade as taking one for the team. There was no doubt the player was away from him there. All he could do really there was try and do something, Tom, and he just slid in a bit late and brought down the the Everton skipper, Banning. So Everton will have a free kick from probably 45 yards or so. They're not exactly packing the box for people to sling this to, so you can be fairly certain that they're going to play it short and try and pass Argyle to death in the remainder of this game. There's a few more players looking ready to come on from the Everton bench, so expect a couple more subs very shortly. Down the left-hand side we go. Folds to get the cross in. That time it was a good header from Peck. And Argyle have to push their way out to try and stop the ball coming back in, but it's a good little triangle. And again, it's Peck that covers. The ball's going to run out of play. I think he's content to let it go. I think it's going to be a goal kick. And it is. No, not quite enough time for Everton to bring on their substitutes. And Argyle will try and build again through Randell, who's probably had twice as many touches as any other Argyle player, I think, so far today.
Hasn't wasted many either.
No, and certainly even the ones he's given away, they've been for good reason, if you like. He's been trying to play a ball through a gap and it's been blocked off. Good pressure here from Everton, even though Argyle still have it. There's still plenty of energy and work rate in the Everton side, even though they're 4-0 up, which is a good sign from their perspective. Then a lovely ball out from Miller to Cleal into Lolos. This is good football from Argyle. Oh, Medine just trying to get it through to Miller. That was unlucky. That would have been a really, really nice move had that come to complete fruition. Everton moved themselves forward. They have it in the centre with first Banning and then Markello, Ashley, Everson. Banning again, under pressure from Randell, goes down. Oh, I was just about to say, referee says no foul, and then he said it was a foul. So free kick given, and then we're going to get a chance to get these two substitutions now. It's quite hard to see the board. I said earlier on the fourth official doesn't have a board because he didn't put anything up for the half-time minutes, but now he's got a board for these substitutions. So it looks very much like
8 and 4 going off.
Banning and Markello, central midfield duo going off. And that looked to me like it said 16. So Tyler Onyango. Did you catch the other number?
I didn't. I'm waiting for him to turn around. He's the guy with the up against Rounds there now, so we'll spot him when he turns around.
Tall and the centre midfield. I think it might be a 4.
I think it was 14, wasn't it?
Yeah, so Alex Denny, by the look of things. Those workings out are the vocalisations of someone trying to do a co-commentary job and write a match report at the same time. Just trying to help Rick out in doing that. I know how you feel. I've been in that seat many times. Yes, it's Alex Denny that's on. Is the 14 and 16 Tyler Onyango. So that's the two subs in the engine room for Everton. It looks like Everson might just be dropping into I might just been temporary. I thought Everson was going to drop into a deeper role, but he has moved back forwards again. Did a good job in the middle, those two for Everton. I thought Markello and Banning good on the ball. And now they keep it and move it out to the right with Ashley. Going to try and play it left-footed across to the other flank. Header was one, but Argyle pick it up loose. Cleal, a little bit of a late tackle there on Tomlinson, I felt. Nothing given. But the ref might go back for that, and he didn't. Ashley has the ball here for Everton. Goes long. It's unusual to just knock it long. Argyle dealt with it through Randell, who gets it again at the second attempt, and then flicks a ball around the corner to Lawless. What a lovely ball. Might just run away from Clydie here. Well, he's kept it in and won something for Argyle as a yes corner. That was good play between the two of them there. Lovely ball from Randell, which I thought was going to run away from Clydie Lawless, but good persistence. He seems to have that. I know it's a strange thing to flag up for centre forward. You want to hear about their hold-up play and their goal scoring, but he does seem to. He looks like he's a nightmare to play against to me. Yes. He's all legs and he's persistence and he gets forward and he gets on your shoulder. I think it's a great quality to have as a forward, to be annoying. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. Corner from the right, Randell swings it in around the penalty spot area, headed away by Folds. It will come to Ryan Law. He's on the edge of his centre circle and then clips it towards Lolos, who's made an intelligent run to the left. Good header by, I think it was by the substitute, wasn't it? By Denny. No, it wasn't. In fact, it was by Carl John. I'm doing him a disservice. Ryan Law to take the throw. Looking for the run in front of him of Lolos, goes along the line. Clydie keeps the ball in, good feet, holds it up, backs in, did a good job, wins another throw in. It was hard to get out of that little pocket The ball stays where it is. Law to take the throw. This time Peck is in a good position to receive it backwards. Randell, quick Cruyff turn, keeps the ball, and then a lovely little drag pass to Miller. His touch was slightly heavy, and Everton come away. Ryan Law wins it back for Argyle. Mike Peck on the left-hand side, looks forward, tries to drop a shoulder. It was read by Everson, and out for a throw-in. We've played 72 minutes. It's Argyle 0, Everton 4. The second half is 1-0, if you like. It might be a little mini target for the Pilgrims to not lose the second half. Sometimes you have these real short-term targets. If they can get one and say, no, losing 4-1 is never a good day, but to say we drew the second half would be a little tiny victory of sorts. Randell fizzes the ball out towards Cleo. Nice take from Cleo, turns inside, thinks about shooting with his left foot, did so, wasn't a bad effort. Goalkeeper had that covered, you can see by his body shape and language just as he fell to one side, but Cleo showing good willing. It's actually been quite a good last 5 minutes for Argyle, perhaps adjusting, the Everton players taking a second to adjust to their changes perhaps from the bench, but Argyle will be happy with their last 5 or 10 minutes, Rick.
Yeah, definitely, and I keep harping back to it, but you know, you can't throw the towel in the game of football, can you? I mean, that run by Clardy Lawless down the right-hand side there's quite a few people who would have given that up, and not many people in the crowd would have said, you know, that's shirking it, but Clardy kept on, he won a corner, and you know, that sort of attitude, that sort of, you know, when you're 4-0 down, but you're still doing that sort of thing, that's a good thing to do, isn't it? And people will take notice of that,
including management, because we look at the bigger picture, you know, as we've talked about throughout this game, that, you know, when Ryan Lowe takes a look at, I believe he won't be seeing this live, will he be travelling at the moment, but when he gets a chance to see this game and looks at it back, he's going to look at someone like a Clyde Lawless at 4-0 down, still making runs, still trying to do the right thing, and it's just a little character, you know, trait that's going to be a positive in the manager's mind, in the back of his head, isn't it? And it's all
show me
these
something.
things.
Show
not
me
just
something.
Not just Clyde, by the way, but that was just an example I was picking. But
yeah,
that's what all, you know, managers look beyond.
Well, you know,
the obvious.
There are players out there, and then, you know, there's players like Jude Boyd, Ruben Wilson, who will say, and Jarvis Cleo, who will say, yeah, well, the manager's asked me to do something, I've done it, and by the way, he's noticed me.
Yeah.
You know, so what an incentive that is.
Ball on the right-hand side for Everton. Round the corner goes Kyle John. Takes one on, tries to take another one on, but between Law and Peck, they do enough to hold him up there. Law just hassling again. Still manages to keep hold of it. Does really well there, Ryan Law, to win the ball back. And now Argyle try and come forward. Good tackle by Ryan Ashley as Jerry Medine looked to be away. And this is Branthwaite from the back from Everton. Edge of the box, tries a shot from distance. Wasn't terribly far away. For the centre half, marching forward. It was never a problem for Michael Cooper, and now has to go and do his own ball boy duties. How long have we got to go? We've got 15 minutes of this game still remaining. The Argyle bench, if they should choose to make any more changes. Tyler Coombs, the substitute goalkeeper. We've already seen Ruben Wilson come on. Isaac Burden, Finlay Krask and Scott Crocker also on the Argyle bench. Ashley to take the throw into Sims. Rather shin that one, trying to play it backwards, and Argyle temporarily won it back, and now have got it back with Lolos, and it'll be an Argyle throw in, I'm sure. It is on the halfway line. Law to Randell. Back to Barrington and now to Peck. Again, Randell demands it and tries to flick a ball over towards Cleo. That wasn't quite as well struck as some of his passes today, but the Pilgrims still fighting for the ball, which they'll get back because Law has it on the left-hand side. Could do with a few people getting into the box for him to cross that. It might fall to Lawless, might fall to Wilson. Didn't quite get to either. Lawsy will have another go from the left-hand side. Just takes a check onto his right foot, crosses in. Not a bad area, but it was slightly over Wilson and well claimed by Tyra, the Everton goalkeeper. They'll try and play it out from their own half again here, naturally. Here's Branthwaite. He goes long into the channel, dealt with by Argyle. And another long ball from them. He's going down the channel, is going to trickle its way out for a goal kick. So you're on the road tomorrow morning, I imagine, are you, for the game at Salford?
Leaving late morning, aiming to arrive in Salford in good time. Never been to the Peninsula Stadium, of course, and The earlier we can get there to sort of scope out the place and set up and get ready for everything we're doing tomorrow to bring the match to the Green Army, whether it's via the website or in fact it's an iFollow game tomorrow night, Rob, by the way. There's only one camera coverage because it's been provided by the EFL and not Plymouth Argyle, but for a £10 match fee if you can't get to Salford. And I would always say the best place to watch Plymouth Argyle is live at Home Park Stadium or on the road, but if you can't make that, then there are other options. And iFollow for just £10 match pass will get you coverage of that. And also Macclesfield the following week, of course, because we've got that rearranged game at Moss Rose. So 2 heavy midweek journeys. It's going to be quite gruelling for the team in the next month or so, but February always was a gruelling month. Always is a gruelling month.
Yes, absolutely. Seems to have been the last couple of years as well that a lot of the longer trips are being stacked later in the season. It certainly happened last year, didn't it? All the longer trips were post-Christmas. Here's a chance here for Everton as Sims gets himself a position, cuts it back, and the shot comes in by John, saved by Cooper.
Well saved by Cooper.
A very close range there. It looked more likely a goal than not, but it was kept out, and now Argyle do try and break. It would be nice to get themselves on the score sheet. They've got 12 minutes in which to do so. Lolos, 25 yards out, goes to Randell, cuts back inside onto his left foot. He's got Peck with him to give him a bit of assistance from left centre back. Miller comes short looking for it. Peck tries to pick out Wilson. It was intercepted, but he'll get another go. And now Miller, Randell, clipped into Lolos. Nice flick to Medine. Didn't quite come off, but Argyle still have it. And then switched out towards Cleo. That wasn't Randell's best pass of the afternoon. It was blocked, and then Everton try and break away with Sims, but it bounced off of him. And nice to see there from Cooper, rather than just standing on his haunches, playing it quickly out to Peck. And Argyle trying to just take advantage of a little bit of momentum that they've been having. Randell to Cleo. Back again. That's between a few players. Randell can't dive in there, knowing he's on a booking, and had to let that ball go. So Everton can try and bring it forward, and they'll do it through Quirk, and then from the right hand side John, but that's a little bit too heavy. Sims will make a bit of a token effort to try and keep it in, but he won't get to it. It's cleared away by Cleo. The ball bouncing around on the halfway line. It will eventually go out for a throw into Argyle on the right. I was going to say what's the Peninsula Stadium being a brand new ground for us. I was about to say what's the last one, but actually the last one we did, but it's probably in a league game, it's probably Forest Green, isn't it, from earlier in the season?
Yeah, it will be, wouldn't it?
Because obviously we'd been there before that in a friendly. There was a chance here for Argyle down the right hand side. Wilson to Lolos. Plenty of Everton players back. Lolos wrestled to the ground. More of the Greco than the Roman side of the wrestling there, but it's a free kick to Argyle in a promising position, quite near the edge of the penalty area.
You know, it's very pleasing to see how they've kept up the momentum, and they actually rested the momentum from Everton the last 10 minutes. It's been, possession-wise, it's been pretty well all Argyle, and I think I follow what you said, Robert. A goal would be just reward for their efforts in the whole game, especially
it would be fitting
in the last 10 minutes or so.
Certainly feels that since the probably ought to give a bit of credit to Nathangelo Marcello and Benny Baningimi, who were the two central midfielders for Everton. It seems that since they've gone off, Argyle have managed to grab a bit more control. Free kick from the right. Randell clips it in. It's bouncing around on the edge of the 6. It's cleared away to the edge of the box. Brought down by Cleo, returned by Miller. Lolos would have been offside if he'd have gone towards it, but he didn't. So Argyle can try and put it back in again. Cleo has to turn and go to the centre circle where Tomlinson is. Green shirts just getting themselves back into their natural positions. One that's not reached it yet is Cleo in the centre now. Clips it out to the left. Good ball though towards Law, who brings it down even though he was looking into the sun while doing so. Peck to Randell, back where he belongs in the centre of the midfield. Lolos has drifted out to the right hand side but kept hold of the ball. Cleo, Randell lets it go past him. Lovely body shape, gets the ball in front of him and moves forward. Peck again. Randell says let me have it. He's got Law on one flank and Cleo on the other. The two wing backs doing a good job of stretching the play. Cleo crosses and Wilson was in a great position. That's probably Argyle's best move of the game, just keeping the ball, switching it from one side to the other. Good patient build up. In the end Branthwaite got a head onto it before Reuben Wilson had a chance to, but That would have been a really, really nice goal to see go in, wouldn't it?
It would. And some of the passing and the interplay, the team interplay has been very, very good the whole game, but certainly in the last 10 minutes where they seem to have a little bit more stamina than Everton.
Corner from the right, whipped in towards the near post, headed away by Everson. Medine should get there first, although it's a difficult one to judge. And in the end, the bounce favoured the Everton player. So the Everton come away with this and switch it down the right-hand side and look for the run of Ellis Sims. He's been a threat throughout the Everton centre forward, and now he's on the edge of the box looking to get his hat-trick. He's got 2 of their 4 goals, and now he's turned away from Law. Drives a shot, it's into the side netting. It's just wide. He did everything right there, did Ellis Sim. Law suggesting he maybe turned an ankle or something in that. He seems to be okay now. Peck out from the back. Down goes Wilson.
Hello.
And then a long-range effort from Uzanides. Now, had that gone in, the only positive I could have found about that is that we may just have got a few extra YouTube hits from that goal, because we were filming it and we could have put it quickly up, and people love seeing a long-range goal. But it didn't quite go in. It drifted away. Clipped down the right-hand side for Argyle, and then well defended by Branthwaite. So a recent pickup for quite a few quid for Everton.
From Carlisle, I think he played against us earlier in the season.
He's already played here this year.
Yeah.
I remember suggesting his name was halfway between Braithwaite and Branthwaite. It's the left-hand side here. Johnson comes into the near post. Oh, score there, word. John. Kyle John. What a great ball first and foremost from Fold, whipping the ball in low. It was a good height for the volley from John.
Fold has put in some very good crosses, hasn't he, for Everton? He's playing left centre back, isn't he? Really? So.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, left back really. Left back. He's able to get forward from there, and it's again, if you're looking at if you're looking at following things, you know, we're talking about the Argyle perspective of the DNA moving forward, and you're looking at the first team. I suppose, you know, if he's come through the Everton ranks, as I assume he has, he's players like Leighton Baines or whatever that have been in front of him, he's able to watch, and on the other side of the park, Seamus Coleman, they've had some good fullbacks, Everton, who've been able to learn from. Here's one of Argyle's, Law to Miller, tries to get around the corner, taken off him, cleared away. Trying to judge it in the air, tricky against the wind there from Parrington. He got enough of a head on it that worked the ball to Peck, and again Randell comes short and says, "Let me have it." Everton are basically 4-5-1 now. It's not really interested in getting forward at all. They're happy to try and let Argyle try and break them down. And Randell is getting the space to try and do that. Lovely ball through the middle. Lolos, edge of the box, tries to turn. Everton do enough to get it off him. On Yango it was really that got the vital interjection. Everton try and go down the left, but good play by Cleal. Pressured enough to force the ball to be given away. And now it's Miller in the centre circle, right by the centre spot in fact. Now moves forward. Cleal is on the right hand side in space if he can use him. Inside to Medine, doesn't quite reach Randell. And now Sims again finds himself isolated, turns and holds it up really well. I think he's been as eye-catching as anyone for me for Everton. They're number 9. Just look to play that lone striker role really well, bring other people in, score a couple of goals. Not much more you could ask of him. And then he's aimed at again here. Doesn't quite get that one first, but Branthwaite will pick it up from the back for Everton. Dallies a little. Goes back to his goalkeeper Tyra, who hits it long. Tomlinson trying to judge it against Everson, who's also had a decent game, I feel. His ball forward will roll. I was going to say it will roll to Cooper, but Tom Parrington is happy to take over. We're into the last 5 minutes here at Home Park. Argyle 0, Everton 4. As Peck plays it through to Lolos. He's got a few players in front of him. He can try and pick one out. Tries to go to his strike partner, Wilson. It was a bit ambitious, really. The defender was able to just shoulder Wilson out of it, and Tyra came to claim. 4 minutes remaining as we start to wind down in this game, and indeed in our coverage, Rick. It will, on the face of it, look like a bad day at the office. Certainly no one will be happy and trying to paint 0-4 as anything other than a frustration, but there have been plenty of bright things that you could point to.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, I think it's I'll just break off because Everton are shaping to have another shot here.
Ellis Sims again, back to goal, just on the edge of the D. He felt he was tripped by Miller, so did I, to be honest. But it's Referee allows it to go on. Everton still have it down the left-hand side. Folds into Everson. One back by nearly one back by Randell, but Everton persist and hold on to the ball. Denny, the sub, trying to play it through to his... Oh, sorry, it was Denny that received it from Quirk, and then the cross comes in, but it'll be deep. And Law decides to keep it in and try and run it down the left-hand side. He's only got Wilson in front of him. Wilson's touch is a little heavy, and he goes in full-blooded against John there, but it was fair. And eventually out for an Argyle throw-in. Peck takes it to Purrington. And now Randell, who it looks like is going to complete the 90. Can't see any Argyle changes readying themselves, so I think we're going to finish with what we've got. Randell, lovely switch out to Law. Nice touch as well. Brings it down well. Always happy to go forward is Ryan Law. This time he's managed to... Well, he checked it was the right thing to do. He held on to the ball and Peck to Randell. Argyle will try again. Cleal in space on the right if he wants to try and find him. Uses Peck a little bit shorter. Mike Peck's turned into a midfield player in the second half. The more he's got forward to try and assist into the Argyle attacks. Now Medine out towards Law, and just at the moment that Law had made the run forward, Medine played it behind him. No real fault to either there. It was just a bit of miscommunication. 2 minutes remain. That's all that's left, and I can't see us having too much time added on after that.
I don't think we've seen a physio all game, have we? Oh, yes, we did, yes. Adam here and
yeah, just he had a knock, but he wasn't there.
Yeah.
Wasn't down for too long, just in the middle of his area. The bigger delays have been the fact that the players have to go and get the ball back.
I think we have got ball boys all around, but there's probably...
Okay, but there's not 11,000 pilgrims ready to chuck the ball back at
correct.
Anything that goes 10 rows back.
Yeah, correct.
And speaking of pilgrims filling home park, obviously there's a game tomorrow night against Salford that we've alluded to several times, which comes first and will certainly be in the management's mind first and foremost. But as far as we're concerned, here at home park, Saturday is a big day. Whatever happens tomorrow night, for both Argyle and for Crewe Alexandra, Saturday's a big game. So whatever you're up to this week, whatever you're thinking about doing at the weekend, please think about spending at least a couple of hours of your weekend here at home park with us and with the players, because when this place gets rocking, and now that the Mayflower Grandstand, which you've been able to see in its almost empty glory this afternoon, we want to see that nice and busy on Saturday. Well into 5 figures, I hope to see here. It should be a huge occasion, and I think back to various big games in promotion seasons for Argyle when it's been big results against big teams. Saturday hopefully could be one of those days, Rick, couldn't it?
I think last time we played Crewe down here in a promotion season, it was a big game, wasn't it? It was towards the tail end of the season when I think George Cooper was playing for Crewe at the time, and we came back, might have even scored for them. We came back from 1-0 down to win 2-1. And
was that the Nathan Blissett header?
Nathan Blissett header, I think, yeah. So that was a big game against Crewe at home park in a promotion season. So, yeah, absolutely. I mean, this place rocks, doesn't it, when it's full? And, 3 minutes time added on there, Robert. Just the ball's just gone up quickly.
We have got some time on.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just lip service to say the fans can play a huge part in the remainder of the season.
Could be one more goal here for Everton. A deflection has found a chance for Sims. Oh, and he's hit the inside of the woodwork on a personal level. I certainly don't want to see Argyle concede any goals, but on a personal level for him, if he could have said he'd have come away from this game with a hat-trick, he probably would have said he deserves one. He's been, I think, Everton's standout player. That was a bit of a lucky ricochet. Well, it was good play from Everton in the first place, blocking it. The fact that it fell to Sim through was a bit of a lucky ricochet, but he didn't quite carry that off. He has had a couple of chances to make it a hat-trick. As Argyle go down the left-hand side for Peck, blocked off by Uzanides. And now they go through the centre again with a couple of substitutes on Yango and now Denny. Denny going laterally, right to left, holding up, and now folds. Tries to jink between, but gives the ball away. It was picked up by Medine, and now Lawless has a nice turn by the touchline. Rather inexplicably given a free kick there because he had the ball and just took it from where he was standing, so referee didn't really need to do that. Peck inside to Randell. Cleal on the right-hand side asking for it. Randell uses Tomlinson in order to get to Cleal. Outside of the boot in towards Lawless. Everton's centre-backs have done a good job of dealing with those balls in when Lolos, Wilson, and in the first half Telford have tried to come short and get the ball in and take it in. They've not really been able to, the Argyle players, because of their markers. So again, we have to give credit to the team who are somewhat our senior in terms of academy status. But as we said previously, if you're following along with this Premier League Cup campaign, it means that every team is now on the same amount of games. One more to play. It'll be out of our hands a little bit in terms of getting into the top 2 to get through. Everton will now be through. We would need Everton to beat Watford in their remaining game. I'm fairly certain that, well, if Argyle were to beat Fulham, we get to 8 points. If Watford were to draw, they get to 8. But I'm fairly certain that their goal difference will be more favourable. So we might need these Everton lads here to do us a favour the next time they play.
You have to look at the rules of the competition to check what the division between teams is when they finish level on points. But Fulham have, of course, they have a better record against us than we do against them in this year's competition. I don't know whether that counts at
Watford. It would be Watford that
sorry,
would end up level
Watford,
with.
sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. No, in that case, no, sorry. Yeah, you're right. Getting me teams muddled up. Watford's a different thing altogether because we won 3-1 up there in our last game. So
I think
that would favour us. So let's hope
let's hope that's the rule. Fewer competitions seem to do that these days.
Yes.
To go back to goal difference.
Yes.
Randell's free kick as Argyle look for a bit of a consolation. It's not going to happen because the ball is headed away towards the edge of the area. The 3 minutes are up and it's handshakes all round as we conclude this afternoon's Premier League Cup game. It finishes Argyle 0, Everton 4. Well, the man in the shot there, Michael Cooper, made a penalty save in the first half and made several other saves. In fact, it was another relatively good day for the Argyle goalkeeper. Didn't really have a lot wrong in the 4 goals, but after he'd made his penalty save, it wasn't long after that that Everton managed to get themselves straight in front. Dennis Adeniran, who missed the penalty, dusted himself off and only a couple of minutes later scored the opening goal for Everton. Ellis Sims scored the first of his 2 during the afternoon and then a third goal just before half-time. Ryan Ashley flicking on a corner into the net made it 3 before the break. In the second half, Everton added one more through Ellis Sims, and he could have had a couple of others as he went in search for his hat-trick. But certainly the longer the game went on, the more Argyle got themselves back into it. And although the score sheet will say it's a 0-4 defeat, this is not an afternoon devoid of positives for the young Pilgrims. It's I think we'll see some of the highlights of the game very, very shortly. I'd like to thank my co-commentator today, Rick Cowdery, for his company and his insight. He's got plenty to do, so he's just rushing off now to upload some match reports and various other things on social media. I'll stick with you through the ensuing highlights here. This was the penalty that was given, tripped by Michael Peck on the player there, and Adeniran with the penalty. Good save by Cooper, pushing it away with his right hand. And as we said at half-time when we were analysing it, not just saving it, but pushing it away from out of danger. That's a great angle from behind the goal there. You see dives away from his right, and again from our other angle, pushing it to safety. But this was only a couple of minutes later. Adeniran into the box, across the goalkeeper, and Everton took the lead. That was a self-made goal as well from Dennis Adeniran, because he just won the ball and then pushed forward to get it across Cooper. You see it from another angle. Good finish, right in the corner. And that was Everton on their way. And this was the second goal. This we feel was a bit more of the controversial one of the lot, because I have to say I thought that was a foul in the build-up, just about here. That tackle on Peck to me is a foul. But anyway, it was a good low ball by John and finished by Ellis Sims. As we see it from one more angle. Maybe the referee was blocked off by a couple of Argyle bodies. Not sure, but Sims nudging home. And this was right on half-time. Literally, the last action I think of the half was that corner from the left-hand side that we thought to begin with had gone all the way straight in. But you probably see there, you just see a little flick from Ryan Ashley, who ran away, claiming it. It was a bit of a smile between corner taker and header of the ball about who exactly had got the touch on it. And here's the fourth one. That's probably the worst goal from an Argyle perspective, because Everton playing with one centre forward, Argyle with 3 centre backs and their wing backs, yet none of them anywhere near to Ellis Sims as he nods that one in. Well, though he played, that's probably the goal of all of them that will require the most of an inquest afterwards. There you see from the corner, from the camera, behind the goal, camera 4 position there, very close up to it. Argyle did push towards the end of the game. That kind of signalled the end of Everton's dominance, actually, their fourth goal. The more the game continued after that, Argyle pushed on. But I wouldn't say Argyle had lots and lots of chances. In fact, that save from Cooper, from John, and we may well see a couple more Everton efforts. Told you that it was the Toffees that were probably the most likely to score the fifth goal. But once again, that doesn't preclude Argyle from having some really good moments. That was Sims getting away from Law and then firing into the side netting. Law just getting a bit tight to him there and turning an ankle. Sims firing into the just the wrong side of the post. And that was the one he hit off the bar. And actually, I'm going to say, did he make the save there, Cooper? In real time, I was just talking about the shot going against the bar. I think he rather may have made a fantastic save there, Michael Cooper. So that's what add a little bonus tick to his tally. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon here on Argyle iFollow for this free broadcast of our Premier League Cup game. Don't forget, there's lots and lots of games still to come that are non-first team games throughout the rest of the season, starting next Tuesday when Bristol Rovers will be here in reserve team action, Central League action, and then there's another Premier League Cup game a fortnight from tomorrow against Fulham, which will be crucial, as we were just talking about towards the end of that game. In terms of first team action, you can watch tomorrow night's massive game away to Salford City. It'll be one camera footage because it'll just be the Salford home footage, and you'll be getting Radio Devon commentary. But we'll be back here with our full service on Saturday, so international subscribers will be able to watch the game here against Crewe Alexandra on Saturday. For those of you that are domestic, you'll be able to listen to it through iFollow with our full coverage as well. We really thank you for joining us today on today's little freebie of what you've got to have here on iFollow. Loads and loads more in the next 10 or 11 weeks as we get to the end of what seems to be a pulsating Sky Bet League 2 season. From Rick Cowdery and from Rob McNichol, a very good afternoon from Home Park.